Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Frenzy Week 6. My name is Falcoflyer, and tonight we have 8 fantastic teams going head-to-head, facing each other in a play-all-3 set. It's going to be so exciting, but before we get started, let me introduce our co-commentator for tonight. We have Magic 8 Octo. Magic, how are you doing tonight?
Doing fantastic, Falco. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing great. It is a good Friday. It is right in the middle of October, so I'm ready for kind of that cool, crisp fall weather. You know, luckily I got to experience that a little bit last weekend, but here in Ohio, it's still really, really warm, and I want it to be fall.
Yeah, right next door, it's the same thing. I'm very much excited for fall of all things. You have hoodies and sweatpants where I can just relax and listen to some rain as the leaves fall.
Absolutely. That's the best. But before we do that, how about some Splatoon matches tonight? Are you feeling it?
I am feeling it. I'm really excited for this first matchup that we have, Wiggly Phantoms versus Intimidation Factor. It seems like these are two teams that are pretty equally matched, and I'm excited to see what they bring to the table.
Yeah, so let's kind of go over Friday Night Frenzy a little bit. So Friday Night Frenzy is going to feature 4 sets of play all 3 matches, and as you see here, the first set is going to be Wiggly Phantoms versus Intimidation Factor. Both of these teams are 3-2. They're looking for this win to move on to 4-2, put them into a very good position to go into the playoffs. Our second set will be Nightwings versus InkSync. Third set will be KingMaker versus Radical Dreamers, and you know, KingMaker, they're undefeated. Radical Dreamers, they're still looking for the first win. So will we see an upset here? We're not sure. We'll find out. In set 4, SPF 7 versus Flounder Frights. And of course, our stages today, we have Rainmaker on New Albacore Hotel, Splat Zones on Snapper Canal, and Clam Blitz on Sturgeon Shipyard. So Magic, looking at these maps and modes, what are you most interested in?
The one that I'm really interested in is going to be Game 3. You know, and some sets might be decided before then, but for the games that do go the distance, Sturgeon Clams is such a hard map to break in on, especially because of how the moving platforms can really create different avenues to get into the basket area. And so seeing how the teams overcome that, seeing how teams challenge the verticality of the map, is going to be very interesting to me. You know, I've seen a lot of Brellas in past weeks. I've seen a lot of brushes, especially on the side of KingMaker, and so but even in other teams, and you know, weapons like that are going to be really interesting to see how they could be utilized.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other kind of interesting map mode combos we have here is Rainmaker on New Albacore. New Albacore, it's such a big stage. And I feel like with Rainmaker, if you have the early lead, it's kind of easy to kind of hang on to it a little bit. You know, there's a lot of crates on this stage, which aren't always Rainmaker friendly. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these teams utilize the Rainmaker here.
Yeah, it's super easy to turtle up on this map, especially if you have something like a wall, like a mist, or you just have a lot of bombs that you can throw out onto these grading areas. It becomes really hard to make any progress. There are some ways you can get around that, but overall, this map is definitely you want to get in the lead and hold as long as you can, and just make a fortress.
Absolutely agree. And before we get started, let's take a look at the rules again for Friday Night Frenzy. So again, we have 8 teams that are playing round robin style, so every team will have the opportunity to face another team throughout the duration of Friday Night Frenzy. Again, we're on week 6 right now. We only have one more week next week, and then the tournament the week following that. So these teams are really coming down to the final few matches here, and each team will only play 1 set per week, and they will play all 3 games. Even if you win the first 2, you're going to be playing that third game just in case we need a tiebreaker scenario. The maps and modes are predetermined, so there will be no counter picks for the regular season. And the best part and the most unique part about Friday Night Frenzy is all these matches are streamed and commentated, so you're going to see all of the action right here. It's going to be really exciting. And again, a top 4 tournament at the end of the regular season, which will be happening on October 29th, just 2 days before Halloween. I'm ready for Halloween. I don't know about you, Magic, but I don't want to tell my wife this. I already bought our Halloween candy, but I was supposed to hide it, and it's in the basement, so if you see Katie, just don't tell her I have it.
I won't. Your secret is safe with me.
Perfect.
As long as you share.
Yeah, I had to. Okay, so Costco obviously has a lot of candy. I got 3 of the 150 packs because we have a lot of kids that come in our neighborhood. So I got 2 chocolates and 1 kind of the sugary candies. So I have to ask, what is your favorite Halloween candy?
Candy corn.
Candy corn. Whoa. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Normally that's like pretty polarizing, where I wouldn't see people who said like they like it the most. There are people like me who are like, I can tolerate it. It's not my favorite, but I obviously know people who are just like, no, I can't have candy corn. But you're pro candy corn.
Oh, I'm 100%. It, like, the novelty of it, and just it's such a satisfying texture to chew down on. Like, I can't really describe it, but it's something that we don't even get that often. Like, you can't just like get candy corn all the time. People only have it pumping out like during Halloween, and so it's just one of those. It's probably like a little bit of nostalgia, a little bit of like, I enjoy those kinds of candies.
Now, I know you like it, and again, like, I don't dislike it, but can you eat a lot of it? Because when I eat it, I can only eat it in like small doses.
Oh no, I eat handfuls.
Oh man. Okay, so I have to ask though, do you like the pumpkin ones too? Or just the candy corn?
Less, but I'm still good with them.
Okay.
I'm still good.
That's fair enough. Candy corn is better than the pumpkins. The pumpkins that's way too much for me. way too much.
Like, they're just hefty.
Yeah. Absolutely. But as much as I'd love to talk about Halloween candy, and trust me, I could all day, because 100 grand, by the way, is the best candy bar ever to exist. Let's take a look at the roster for these first 2 teams. We have the Wiggly Phantoms versus Intimidation Factor. And one thing I want to point out is the Wiggly Phantoms are kind of going through a restructuring phase right now with, I believe, Sneck leaving the team as team captain. I know they are going to be playing, or will be finishing on the roster of the Wiggly Phantoms for Friday Night Frenzy, but we will likely see IE Radish and Secant tonight. So I know, Magic, you are in competitive Splatoon. You know the Wiggly Phantoms. What are your thoughts?
Yes. Wiggly Phantoms has grown to be such a, I don't want to say like a well-known figure, but like they have the presence. They're well-known amongst especially the lower div teams. And it's really sad to see them, restructuring, and see these members that have been, at the forefront having to cycle out. But that's what happens, right? It's unfortunate, but it is a necessary evil. But it is going to shake things up. I believe it was Navy is also going to have to be stepping away soon, and that Nautilus is very scary. And so to see some exchanges, luckily we're still going to see Jeb on the Dapples, and we're gonna see still a pretty aggressive playstyle, but it is sad to see these familiar faces that are going to be taking a step back.
Yeah, absolutely. But like you said, kind of, it happens to every team. It happens to the best of teams, happens to the worst of teams, happens to all teams. But one team that really has not changed during Friday Night Frenzy is Intimidation Factor, and they're sitting strong at 3-2 right now, led by Arwen, and they have had some pretty impressive sets so far. So I'm really interested to see in this matchup. It's going to be a really good one. And again, starting on Rainmaker, New Albacore Hotel. New Albacore, not really a competitive viable map, but yeah,
it's definitely not the worst, and it's still, there are a lot of good strategies that can come out of it. It is something that tests you in a way that is similar to a lot of the more utilized Rainmaker maps, and so because of that, I think that it's still something that needs to be put forward, especially to teams from time to time, just as like a gut check, but it is something that can be a little bit more skewed towards certain playstyles, and that's why it's seen as a little bit less viable, but still, it's a good map to break down the principles of pushing Rainmaker. There are choke points and you have to break through them.
Yeah, that's a good point. And there's kind of more, I'll say, like zigzagging that you would do in this map. So, with I'm trying to think, like a special like Stingray, even though it can reach the distance, can it zigzag as well as maybe missiles where you could be caught off guard. I don't think so. But then again, you have all the greats here where missiles, might not come in handy to paint. So there's a lot of pros and cons with this map mode combo.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. And you talk about the different specials. There's a lot of variability that can come out in these compositions, especially with a map that's so different from the ones that we usually see in tournaments. And so because of that, we're going to be seeing a lot of different ranges of weapons. We're going to probably be seeing some stuff like the Splatlings to abuse those gratings. And yeah, Stingrays are notoriously supposed to be strong here, but it's very easy if you're in the middle of the map to just give it a good dodge, especially if it's well painted.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this map is huge, but part of what makes it big is all the greats and all the slick spots too, especially up by the Rainmaker podium.
Yeah.
Where, you could have maybe 20 remaining and you just have to run. You can't really swim anywhere and you just gotta go. And it's going to be really hard. But again, I'm really curious to see how these two teams do, especially on the side of Wiggly Phantoms. With having 2 subs, we don't know how much time that these teams have had to practice with each other, so we don't know how much experience they have with their callouts, and it could be an uphill climb for the Wiggly Phantoms, but we'll see.
Yeah, anything is possible, and especially like you were mentioning with the this glass area by the Rainmaker pedestal. This is probably gonna go a full 5 minutes. Knockouts are very unlikely on Rainmaker Albacore. So these teams need to be ready for a slogfest of just pushes and defenses. So I'm excited. Let's get into this.
Yeah, you're ready. I'm ready. It looks like both of our teams are ready. So let's get started with the first game of Week 6 Friday Night Frenzy, Wiggly Phantoms versus Intimidation Factor. Here we go.
And already we are seeing 2 Splatlings on the side of Intimidation Factor and Umbrella on the side of the Wiggly Phantoms. Very interesting.
Yeah, we see double Junior, we see double Knot too, so a lot of mirror play, but again, the only difference is being the Splash in the Splatling and then the Umbrella in the Tetras. Tetra's an interesting choice here, but very mobile, especially with all these greats too. As you see, one player is already down on the Wiggly Phantoms. Gem is going to be pushing towards mid, just trying to get some picks here and there, but again, nobody's really eager to pick up the Rainmaker. Gem is going to get their Splat Bomb rush, and it looks like they are going to be using it, but somebody on the side of Intimidation Factor is going to be using their inkjet. Gem unfortunately goes down to Mask, who is using the Neo Splash Suction Rush. 2 players are now down on the Wiggly Phantoms, as we see if Intimidation Factor picks up the Rainmaker potentially, and they do.
Yeah, just a very scattered opening that we saw from Wiggly Phantoms. It seems like they couldn't really play around those Tetras well. They're going to be going diving in, and if they're not going to be able to utilize that effectively, especially because Secant is going to be using Tetras pretty consistently. I forgot about Secant being a Tetra main. They're going to have to learn to work around that.
Yeah, and right now the Wiggly Phantoms have 2 specials. It looks like they do pop the Rainmaker, but Dorsal has got that Rainmaker pretty well guarded. We see a Splatling versus Splatling as Navy is going to be jumping down, has the Inkjet ready. Will Navy be using it quite yet? It looks like the Rainmaker might reset, which is probably a good idea because mid is not too far away. And I'd say that's pretty good for the Wiggly Phantoms, only allowing Intimidation Factor getting to 89. Navy with a nice takedown. 2 players are now down on Intimidation Factor.
Yeah, it was a really nice find, and especially we saw how Gem pushed up onto those grates earlier on, while the Rainmaker was resetting and really set up this push. And now they're trying to take it to this left side while also putting on pressure from the right side, but they left the middle open, and here comes Mask to flank and find this Rainmaker, and that's going to be a wipe!
That is going to be a wipe. Intimidation Factor taking care of business. They gave the Wiggly Phantoms a lead, but only at 67. And now Intimidation Factor has the Rainmaker, and it looks like they will be pushing right. Mask is going to be using a Suction Rush. We do see a Stingray too. Zanala is going to be pushing right. Let's see how far they can go. Navy going to be pushing from mid. Zanala is going to take the lead there, getting all the way to 50 and then some, gets all the way to 40. 2 players are down now on Intimidation Factor.
That's a really strong push. I don't think it's going to be able to beat a dropping from the upper left side. If we're looking at the map from one of the other angles, dropping down onto that glass from that higher platform is the other Rainmaker path, and I believe that will net a lead. But for right now, this is a really strong push that can be defended if they really take close control of those choke points. It's going to be very easy with this Splatling just dominating the Greats here.
Yeah, and Wiggly Phantoms, they had 3 specials ready. It looks like they did use one of them. Were able to get a pick. I believe they're using a suction or a Splat Bomb Rush, but now they are using the rest of their specials. Dorsal just trying to hang out up on that podium up there, and will be in the path of the Rainmaker and the Brella, going to have to retreat. Luckily, they have some ink armor, and Dorsal will probably back out for the Stingray, as Wiggly Phantoms are going to be pushing up towards mid, but unfortunately go down with 67 remaining. We have a 2v3.
Yeah, that was really smart play from Dorsal. I mean, if you're the backline, you're going to be... People are going to be banking on that Ray from you, and you need to be playing safe. You need to know exactly when you can get out of a spot, how you can get out of it, and you need to be thinking about that ahead of time, especially if you're charging the Ray in the meantime. And it was very just cool, calculated play from Dorsal. I really like to see that.
Yeah, and we just have about 1 minute and 10 left, and really not much movement from either team. This has really been a stalemate kind of at mid. Not a lot of Rainmaker action. Mask is going to be getting their Suction Rush. We'll see when they use it. They're going to be using it here at mid, but it might be able to give Wiggly Phantoms a little bit of room, especially 2 players down on Intimidation Factor. Mask is going to be having to flank from the side. Mask might take down Jeb, but doesn't, and it looks like Wiggly Phantoms take the lead, get all the way to 10. 3 players are down now on Intimidation Factor.
And Mask probably positioning incorrectly there, and they're thinking it's going to dive for this Rainmaker to try and get a quick knockout. Wiggly Phantoms are still in this base, and, you know, if they're going to be popping out all of those specials a bunch of the times, I mean, they had the armor, they had everything at the ready. Oh my gosh, Gem is still up here, forcing it.
What trade? Oh, and they go down in the water there. Oh man, the Rainmaker is going to reset. 2 players are down on the Wiggly Phantoms, as Intimidation Factor is going to be pushing up, and they really need to get this Rainmaker, but Wiggly Phantoms doing a good job, just leaving so much of their paint by the barrier that was there. But now, can Intimidation Factor pop it in time? Let's see if anyone picks it up. It looks like Zanella does, but is going to still stay alive. 2-on-2. How long can they stay alive? And the auto bomb gets them down. Oh my goodness.
Wow. I'm impressed at everything there.
Yeah, what a crazy ending, giving Wiggly Phantoms the win in the lead, or yeah, the win. Really, really incredible. That match, I swear, the last minute there, that really sealed the deal for them.
Oh yeah, and it was only a matter of time before Intimidation Factor broke from the pressure of all those specials. You know, at least 3 times I can think of Wiggly Phantoms having all of their specials that they needed and putting some people forward, trying to make something happen, and eventually they're just going to put on enough pressure that Intimidation Factor is going to make a mistake. And they did it very cleanly. They converted exactly how they needed to. They waited out the bomb rush. They waited for Mask to get out of position, and they, you know, since Mask was basically a non-factor, they were fighting a 3v4 up in that tight corridor, up in the upper area, and it ended with the Wiggly Phantoms taking a very strong lead.
Yeah, indeed. And man, this set, I'll say, if only we had Skipper Pavilion, we would have had all the water stages here with new Albacore, Snapper, Canal, Sturgeon, and you know, it's on a shipyard. Let's just pretend it has water. But again, like you said, that match was going to go all 5 minutes, and it absolutely did. Will we see something different with Splat Zones and Snapper Canal? We'll see. This stage is a little smaller, but there's a lot of room to kind of work with. You know, when I think of Snapper Canal, it's hard for me to tell, like, okay, is this area my side or is this my opponent's side? It's you know, It's not really clear cut, and we'll see how these teams utilize their positioning.
It's going to be a playhouse for Second, is what I'm going to tell you right now. Tetras love this map. They love working with the long spaces over on those sloped areas. They love working in the street, since they have a pretty consistent way to get out of pushing up a little too far. And because of that, it's going to be just one person diving back and forth between those 2 areas. And it's going to be really interesting to see if Wiggly Phantoms can keep capitalizing off of it.
Yeah, and our teams are ready now. Wiggly Phantoms Intimidation Factor Game 2. If the Wiggly Phantoms win, they will win the set, move on to 4-2. We'll see if Intimidation Factor can bring this to an authentic Game 3.
Ooh, I'm not sure. curling bomb rush Tentobrella from the side of the Wiggly Phantoms. I don't know what to think about that.
Yeah, curling bomb rush, kind of hard, again, on a stage where bombs can easily fall off the map. Well, you know, I'm interested to see that. We also see an E-leader from the side of Intimidation Factor as they get an early lead with 2 players down on the Wiggly Phantoms. And it looks like, yeah, Mask is going to sneak up, get Navy, and will they get the Tetris here? It looks like Tetris are going to be backing out, staying alive from that splashdown. Can Mask get them? Mask does get them, getting them to 81. You know, I kind of thought Intimidation Factor would capitalize a little more, but Mask is doing a really good job just kind of cleaning up and getting those picks.
Yeah, I mean, Sega did a great job of stalling for as long as possible there and allowing Wiggly Phantoms to come back in and at least neutralize the zone, put that penalty on. But now they have the specials at the ready, and it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with especially these bomb rushes that they can keep painting over, and it's going to be all right, but it doesn't look like they have enough painting power to do so.
Yeah, and again, just not enough paint right there, as it looks like Intimidation Factor takes the lead. Navy with a really nice pick. They do have a 2-player advantage. Navy going to throw a suction bomb, has the inkjet ready. We'll see when they want to use that too. And we see Seekin over there fighting a 2v1, takes one down, but unfortunately then it goes down to Zanala. But with that, Wiggly Phantoms take the lead as Intimidation Factor is going to be sneaking up. Arwen with a really, really nice pick on Radish, has the inkjet ready, going to be using the inkjet to push in. 2 players are down on the Wiggly Phantoms.
Players are down, but do they have enough paint? It seems like the junior from Intimidation Factor isn't at the zone, and Seekin's up in their base, and now it seems like they finally have a little bit of an opening with the rain. Is going to be able to cap, but it seems like they're not converting as quickly as they need to because of the pressure that Wiggly Phantoms is putting on, and I think it has to do with this Tentobrella and the Tetra Dualies being such good distractions.
Yeah, and right now, Intimidation Factor doing a really good job just holding onto the zone. Oh, no, you say that and they accidentally lose it, but can Mask get that pick? And Mask gets that pick, avoiding the splashdown kill. Splashdown cancels are so satisfying. But 2 players, oh, there is a DC.
Yeah.
There is a DC in the match, and it looks like this match, I believe, will be replayed. Blue can correct me if I'm wrong, but we are not 3 minutes into the match yet, and neither team has 20 remaining. I'm not sure if these teams know, but it looks like members from the Wiggly Phantoms do know.
Yeah,
okay.
It looks like they.
Yep. So this will be replayed. But
you hate to see it.
Yep, you hate to see it, but that is all good. You know, it happens, and we will make sure to communicate this with the teams to make sure that they will, I love the drip that they are giving us. Thank you, team.
You gotta put on at least a little bit of a show, even in times like these. And look at them going around. I love this. I love this environment. You know, it seems like teams really are having a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, DCs are rare, but, you know, they do happen. But right now, we're just making sure our teams are aware of the situation. And we will get that back to you guys soon.
Yeah. I mean, so in terms of the match, I mean, it looked like it was going in the Wiggly Phantom's favor, even if the Intimidation Factor did have that the zone at that last minute, but it seems like Wiggly Phantom just has a little bit of a stronger composition, a little bit of a better handle on how to accelerate their gameplay.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, that was one of the rare situations where we were able to see kind of a lot of what happened in that match. And, you know, like, if there's a DC, you kind of want it to be right at the beginning because, you know, you don't want a team to get so far ahead and then, you know, accidentally, you know, lose the next match when, you know, they didn't expect to. But luckily, these teams are playing the same exact weapons. But right now, if there is a DC, then I believe for the side of the... it was the... I believe the Wiggly Phantoms, yes. Mm-hmm. Then this match will have to continue on if there's another DC.
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yes, absolutely. But right now, Wiggly Phantoms are going to take the early lead, and 2 players are down now on Intimidation Factor. Zanala and Arwen going to retreat just a little bit. and kind of regroup. You know, that's always something you want to do. You never really want to feed while you're trying to push ahead. But man, this Wiggly Phantom seems they're really pushing up ahead, and Arwen might be in a little bit of trouble there. Unfortunately, goes down to Seekin as Wiggly Phantoms are able to kind of just take control for now, and 2 players are down on Intimidation Factor.
Yeah, and here we go. The staggered spawns. They're going to be trying to go out and make something happen. Seekin does get canceled there in the splashdown. Great shot by Dorsal. But the Splash-O-Matic down, it seems like they're always just at a little bit of a disadvantage. They finally have a little bit of room to breathe and get some specials, but is it going to be enough? No, I believe that's one going down.
Can they take it? Can they take it? Are they going to get it? They have 2 players down. They need to cap this zone, and it looks like they do, giving 75 penalty points to the Wiggly Phantoms. That is the max that you can give. This match just extended itself by at least a minute and a half.
And Wiggly Phantoms is doing a fantastic job of setting up the lockout. And that's what they were going for the entire last match. They couldn't get it exactly where they wanted it to, but this time they had it successfully, and unfortunately just had it slip away in the last minute because of that fantastic splashdown cancel. So props to that E-leader.
Yeah, absolutely. And now Intimidation Factor being able to kind of get away. Oh, and 3 players are down, as it looks like Wiggly Phantoms are going to get 3 players down. Seekin going to be pushing up, and Seekin is going to be hiding. Ooh, is going to sneak up and takes down Arwen. Seekin going to be using a splashdown to stay alive. Can they sneak up to the charger? It looks like not quite yet. But again, these Wiggly Phantoms not shy on splat zones to be able to just kind of sneak up to base.
I mean, yeah, if they have the chance, they know where the enemy is coming from. They're going to be waiting in the wings. But I believe that Dorsal was able to get some jumps to themselves and get some people on the zone. That's going to be the cap for Intimidation Factor, and 2 down. Wow, so very just heads-up play from the charger to get some jumps in.
Yeah, right now we have about 2 minutes left, and again, a lot of penalty points for the side of the Wiggly Phantoms. Radish is going to be using that wonderful double bomb loadout that the Junior always has, or should have at least. I don't want to say always, but going to be pushing up. Zanala going to be using probably their armor pretty soon. Yep, going to be pushing into mid as they unfortunately go down. It looks like the Knot has the Inkjet ready. We'll see when Navy wants to use it. They have the zone, and 2 players are down on the side of Intimidation Factor.
Looks like they just a little bit overcommitted during that push. They had, the armor up, they had the rain going, but just a little bit of mistiming, and it ended up souring the push. They did end up getting the zone, but at what cost? We see 2 specials up at the side of the Wiggly Phantoms, and they didn't lose any ground at all, and here they come.
Yeah, Intimidation Factor doing a really good job just holding on to this zone for all that they can, as the Wiggly Phantoms are going to be pushing up. Are they going to be able to get there in time? We have just about a minute left with 30 points remaining, and it's going to be really, really close. Unfortunately, are they going to lose control of the zone? They are, giving 46 penalty points to the Intimidation Factor.
And getting that pick on the zone allowed them to get a lot more paint than they would have normally, and especially taking out one of the main painters on Intimidation Factor. It let them get just enough to capitalize on the zone and put those penalty points into effect, and it's probably going to go into overtime at this rate. Both teams are charging up their specials, and I feel like Wiggly Phantoms has a stronger push if they can get it off.
Yeah, we'll see with, that splashdown. They are able to take the zone, and we see a 3v3, 2v2 now, as Intimidation Factor still is able to hold on to the zone. Navy's going to need to get out of that rain if they want to stay alive, and Navy is going, unfortunately goes down, but we do see Brella pushing in. We have just about 10 seconds left. 2 players are down on the Wiggly Phantoms.
The bomb off of the Brella shield ended up killing Navy, and that's probably going to put the Wiggly Phantoms so far back that they can't come back.
Yeah, we'll see. We do see a curling bomb rush come in, but unfortunately they go down. Will this be a cap? No, it looks like Intimidation Factor is going to hold on to it. Can the Wiggly Phantoms paint over? No, and Intimidation Factor wins that match. Oh my goodness, we are going on to game 3.
That's fantastic. That was so close. Oh, the curling bomb rush right at the end. It looked like they had just enough paint, but I think Gem went down at just the wrong time, and I think in the zone as well, giving just enough paint to Intimidation Factor. Oh, that's so tough if you're the Wiggly Phantoms to have that game in the back of your pocket.
Oh my gosh.
I can't imagine what they're feeling.
I know. We're going to a game 3 right now. This is so close. Both of these teams in the first 2 sets have just played so fantastic, and I am excited to see what's in store for game 3. Clam Blitz on Sturgeon Shipyard.
Oh, and I'm thinking we're gonna be seeing a Tentabrella. I think we're gonna be seeing juniors once again. This is gonna be great, especially Inkjet reigns king here, and having 2 players that are gonna be utilizing Nautilus, abusing those high platforms from the moving platforms, and showing off some really good Inkjet plays. This is gonna be a very Splat-heavy match, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't see Clam Blitz last week, unfortunately, because, you know, we can only play 3 of the 4 modes, but I'm telling you, I love watching Clam Blitz. You know, sometimes it can start off a little slow, just as some teams will be picking up their clams here and there, but it turns into such an amazing match, and I'm really looking forward to it, especially on Sturgeon, you know? Like you said, Splatlings hiding up, just really standing there. I don't even want to say hiding, but they could be on the grates, could be up, kind of where that like up arrow, I don't know that exact position, but you know, like where that arrow is pointing up in the map, basically.
Yeah. And because there are a lot of these high advantage areas, you know, advantages can really snowball. It's so hard to break out in Sturgeon Shipyard, and I'm really wondering if these teams are going to be able to do so, because it seems like they were both having trouble in the breakouts.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's see how these teams do. Again, game 3, let's go.
Let's go. Yep, we see a Tentabrella.
Yeah, we see the Tentabrella. We also see K-Pro on the side of Wiggly Phantoms. Again, the Dark Tetra is a junior on both sides. And I believe the Swatling, was that one with the wall and bubbles, perhaps?
Yes, wall bubbles, and it's going to lead to a lot of strong pushes again. Bubbles on both sides is almost essential here if you want to break in. And look at how much pressure this Tentabrella is putting on. They can barely even move forward.
Yeah, Mass is going to have to go up on that patio, but it looks like Seekin has a power claim. Seekin is going to score, but is then going to go down. Gem and Navy pushing with the bubbles, pushing with the Brella. Gem had 6 power claims, going to get a few in and getting them down to 71, and now just Navy alive back at mid, and Mask is going to be sneaking up. Seekin is going to be jumping there too. So overall, very quick push for the Wiggly Phantoms. 71, you know, not the best, but I mean, hey, that's a very early push. You can't complain about that.
I mean, if it's quick and dirty and you don't give up control of mid, that's a win in my book. And Arwen, I didn't even realize is using the Baller Nautilus and is going to be pushing up into this middle area. I think that Seekin ended up dying from falling down somewhere, and now is going to be going down one more time, and all of a sudden, Intimidation Factor is a really strong push lined up.
Yeah, Zanala now has a power claim. Looks like Arwen is going to be passing some claims. Zanala is going to score, giving Intimidation Factor their first score. Mask up top. It looks like Arwen's going to follow suit. Dorsal's up. Everybody is up on that top part, getting Intimidation Factor all the way to 59.
This moving platform, it's such a key area, especially if you look down and start pelting enemy players, as exactly what the Splatlings were doing. And although it took a little while, it seems like Wiggly Phantoms is starting to move back into mid. They're not going to have control of it just yet, but they're at least going to be able to reset to neutral. That's a really strong push, though, for this map.
It is, and again, two pretty early pushes in Clam Blitz, because most of the time these are kind of stalemates towards the beginning. You know, we've seen matches that kind of end 80-80, sometimes KO, sometimes not quite some KOs, but it looks like the Wiggly Phantoms are going to be pushing up towards mid a little bit, as we see some bubbles coming from the side of Intimidation Factor. Gem going to be using that brush to try and get rid of some of those bubbles, but right now map control on the side of the Wiggly Phantoms, but man, they are really going to need it as we are under halfway of our time remaining, and I mean, there were 22 claims on Intimidation Factor, but now Zanella has a power claim, also has Ink Armor, and had the player advantage. And now they're going to be pushing up.
And Zanala doing a great job of managing that tent umbrella by throwing a bunch of bombs at it, using armor, just getting up in their face. Very strong play, and you see the Clam management on the side of Intimidation Factor is incredible right now. They have 17 holding, even with 2 players alive. They're going to be sending in these bubbles. Are they going to commit? It doesn't look like they want to. They want to just sit back and stay in mid, but Wiggly Phantoms is trying to not let them have that. And they've been doing such a good job managing their Clams.
They have. Radish is going to be picking up the Pity Clam. It looks like, again, they do have some map control because they were able to kind of just, you know, counter the pressure that Intimidation Factor was given. Radish will be using the armor. Can they get away? Unfortunately, no. Mass is going to be there to get the power claim. Mass getting another player down. 2 players are down now on Intimidation Factor as Gem is going to be pushing up, but Gem is alone. Unfortunately, Gem can't quite get there in time, as it looks like Intimidation Factor might grab some clams and take more of mid.
And Mass, with the pop-off play, just knew exactly where to flank and get around for where their Wiggly Phantoms wanted to be, and that's going to lead to a fantastic push. This looks like it could end the game, Falco.
Oh, it sure could. Arwen throwing in some clams. Can they get the win? And it looks like they do. Intimidation Factor comes back to get the reverse sweep, winning the set 2-1.
Wow. That is not the result I expected. It looked like Wiggly Phantoms had such good positioning too, and such like a good setup for their pushes. But it seemed like they just went down at the wrong times. You know, they allowed Mask to get in a little too closely. They didn't manage their clams quite correctly, and even though they had that first early push and had control of mid, they needed to rebound. You know, even something I wanted to bring up was the beacons on the tent umbrella. You know, that should allow them to have a little bit more pressure in the mid. You know, allow them to get jumps in back easier. But it didn't seem like that was the case at all.
Yeah, and I mean, Wiggly Phantoms, they really had the early push, but again, only got to 71, and that looked like that was kind of it for them. Intimidation Factor, when they were able to make their pushes, they really capitalized on it, and were able to get quite a bit of points, but that, Magic, that was a great set to kind of start off with for Friday Night Frenzy. What do you think?
Oh, 100%. That sets the tone, and that's what I like to see. You know, I love energy. You know, I feel like Splatoon is a game that has a lot of passion and movement and is very fun and energetic, and I think that match was a perfect showcase of that, and to show these hype moments and get it really excited, you know, even just between the two of us, you know, and hopefully everyone watching at home.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
Absolutely, and again, that was kind of I like to think that was our marquee matchup of this week. But you know, based on teams' preferences and when they can play, you know, if I could choose, that would have been the last set of the match. Just because, you know, both teams 3-2, and with that win, Intimidation Factor, I can't see how they won't make the playoffs. Again, at the end of this week, I believe Blue and I will be the ones who kind of list out the scenarios of, you know, seeding and all that fun stuff, because we're both like big sports nerds. I don't know if you are, Magic, but yeah, we'll have fun kind of doing that. But it was a really great set to watch. Again, Intimidation Factor winning that one. But next up, we have Nightwings versus InkSync. And InkSync, they are the only returning team from Friday Night Frenzy Season 1. Nightwings, a few of their players did play in the first season. Half of their teammates played on the team of the Anglers, the other half played on SAR, so again, kind of a mix of both of those teams. But InkSync, again, 4-1, they're sitting in a really, really good position against a Nightwings team that I know has been scrimming a lot, I know has been practicing a lot, and they are ready to go.
I actually know InkSync pretty darn well at this point. You know, obviously I met Jimmy and yourself at Riptide, but I mean, even before then, I've known Jimmy, I've known Trell, Chili I've met recently, and this is a team that has been, you know, Div 4, very consistent players, very strong players. I mean, even from way back in the day, I mean, we're talking 2 years ago, I've known of this team and how scary Jimmy is on that charger, and so I'm excited to see them take over a match, but also the Nightwings are unpredictable, so I'm excited for that as well.
Yeah, and I mean, before we could really dive deep into these two teams, they're ready to go. So let's bring you that match between Nightwings versus InkSync. Let's start again with game one, Rainmaker on new Albacore. Here we go.
We're going to be seeing a lot of that long range. Yeah, here comes the Hydra and the Charger from Jimmy. I expect nothing less. Kind of surprised didn't go E-Leader, but I understand wanted the Ray. And a rapid pro Deco taking a cue from Riptide, actually.
Oh yeah,
on the side of InkSync.
So many blasters at Riptide. I forgot about that. Like, yeah. It was absolutely ridiculous. And then on the side of Nightwings, we do see a custom Hydra, which I would say is a little less common as well. Two players are down now on Nightwings as Trell's going to be pushing up, gets a kill on Splat. Trell is going to be pushing up and going to be using that splashdown to take down Rez, but right now they don't have the Rainmaker. Okay, now they have it. I believe Lucas is the one who picked it up. Trell was too busy slaying over there, but yeah. Oh, Jimmy picked up the Rainmaker. Jimmy the Charger. So again, Trell's just going to be pushing up here and really getting into Nightwing's territory and getting the Rainmaker to 70. Kind of going up that left side. Will the rest of Nightwings kind of push in? Let's see if they can get the Rainmaker. Splatcat going to try and sneak up and is able to take down Jimmy. And again, if you're Nightwings, that honestly wasn't the worst that could have happened.
No, it definitely wasn't, but it seems like a play from Chili here might have netted a few jumps and maybe even a little bit more of a push. Trell able to push it forward just a little bit more, but yeah, that was a pretty solid defense. You know, they took a lot of different angles of approach to surround this this corridor from all sides, and because of that, they were able to be pretty consistent, but I mean, seriously, if they're going to go down like this every time that the Rainmaker is not in someone's hands, that's going to be bad news. And speaking of getting it in hands, I believe that was Guiga's able to pick it up and just barely run it forward and really make Nightwings sweat a little bit.
Yeah, getting to 48 and 46, and if you're Nightwings, like, this Rainmaker has been in that spot for probably about a minute and a half now. It's been there for quite some time. Splatcat has a suction rush ready. We'll see when they use it, pushing down the right side, maybe. Oh, and Jimmy, of course, with the Jimmy snipe, getting Splatcat. But now somebody, I mean, Jimmy spotted, but Jimmy again takes down Savage as it looks like Chili has a Rainmaker kind of going up mid, but is fighting a 1v1 right now, kind of staying alive, getting all the way to 25. Three players are down now on the side of InkSync.
Great technique from Chili there. I mean, using the backwards Rainmaker pushing strat and, you know, going into squid form at times to sort of accelerate the movement. Just a lot of good game knowledge I'm seeing from InkSync here, and the way that they've been able to lock people out, the way that they've been able to just utilize this Rainmaker push, it's a very strong play.
Absolutely, and we have about 2 minutes left now. Rainmaker kind of back at mid. We'll see if Nightwings can pick up the Rainmaker. Trell's going to be picking it up as and I feel like the rest of Nightwings have just had to play massive defense this entire time. But again, if you're facing InkSync, that's what you have to do. They're a really, really strong, aggressive team. Trell going to get Azzy down with that Rainmaker kill. We have about a minute 40 left. Trell now has some support, but just from Jimmy, as it looks like Savage is going to be, Rez is going to be pushing up, but takes it, unfortunately goes down, and Trell and Jimmy, it's a two-man show right here.
I mean, there's no real reason to really push too hard unless you have a guaranteed point lead. You know, if you're gonna guarantee improve your lead, because this position is so hard to push from the side of Nightwings. This is the worst possible position. It is that Guigas up near the Rainmaker pedestal. Guigas some plays.
Yeah, Guigas was up there, maybe just trying to serve as a distraction or trying to pave a way. But again, when you're a blaster, you don't have a ton of painting power, so I'm not sure. But you know, whatever is working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, and it's working right now for InkSync.
I think that they just know that the aggression is going to be unmanaged by Nightwings, and that they can abuse it. And you can't stand in front of your wall, gamer. That's not how that works. Oh goodness, Nightwings is just crumbling right now underneath the pressure, and InkSync doesn't need to do anything.
Yeah, Nightwings just really trying to stay alive, and it's going to be really hard for them to get out of their base as they're wiped. Jimmy and Trell's just sitting there waiting. And I mean, again, Instinct knows they don't need to KO. They just kind of need to hold what they're doing now. Jimmy has the Ray. We'll probably use it maybe with about 5 seconds remaining or so. Or we'll pick up the Rainmaker and just kind of, you know, just kind of be there. But again, Insync, this one pretty well in their hands as they have a pretty dominant performance.
Yeah, no, from start to finish, it seemed like they were pretty, I don't want to say mishandling the map per se, but it seemed like they didn't really pick their spots correctly and definitely did not take the fights that they needed to.
Yeah.
They need to single out these Ink-Sync players and make sure that people like Trell can't just overwhelm them. And
yeah, that was 18, 16, and 16 on the side of Insync. And, you know, it happens, you know, it happens like that sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, some matches are not going to go your way, but you can shake it off and keep taking those swings, then it's going to be good for the long run.
Absolutely. And now we move on to a slightly smaller stage. Again, Splat Zones on Snapper Canal, but if this is anything like the first game, I don't think it will go the full 5 minutes because, you know, you can camp out in zones and get a quick KO. It's kind of hard to do that with Rainmaker if you just don't really pick up the Rainmaker. And we'll kind of see the flow of this game, but if you're Nightwings, you need to get kind of the early lead to set the tone a little bit. I think what happened to Nightwings too is that they just went down a little too quickly and just weren't able to recover at all.
They really didn't get together and make a strong special push, and I think that's the key that they need to do. You know, they need to play tactically. They need to play around their specials. They can't go up against these really strong mechanical players in one-on-one fights and expect to win. They need to be playing like a team, and if they can do that, and if they can really pump out a lot of specials, I think that they do have a strong chance.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, maybe with this map, it won't get, I'll say maybe Insync won't have an opportunity to kind of get their positioning down, too. It looked like Trell just had a spot he really liked to be in. Jimmy had a spot, you know, he really liked to be in. And if you have that really early aggression, then hopefully you can kind of alleviate some of that. But again, Splat Zone's a very snowball-y mode.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We will see, and I'm expecting to see another sloshing machine. I'm expecting to see the Charger from Jimmy, and I'm expecting to see the Hydra. So we're probably going to see a pretty non-interactive backline match unless Adzi decides to move up with that Hydra, which can be very effective. But we'll see what happens. Wait a minute, is that a double backline composition?
It looks like we do have the Jet Squelcher and the custom Hydra. You know, whatever works, I guess. So, you know, we'll see. And again, all players have their, you know, special weapons that they're good at. You know, I'm not one to really judge the comp of a team just because I know that, you know, it's always a play. We've seen KingMaker play with triple brush. Typically, that wouldn't really go well. But Insync going to be taking the early cap right here, getting past 80, and Splatcat's going to be sharking a little bit, trying to get looks like maybe Chili on the end zap, fighting that 1v1, but it looks like Splatcat's going to have to retreat a little bit as they have a few players down now. But again, this Insync team really aggressive with their pushes and is able to push up. Chili's now going to go down, Splatcat's going to get down, and it's just the custom Hydra who's alive. But again, Guigas, Jimmy, look at this frontline charger up here too. That's how you know it's getting serious too, and Insync just doing a really good job locking Nightwings out.
Look at the specials. I mean, really, there has only been one special, and it has been an armor from Chile. That has been the only special used this entire game thus far. And, you know, as I say that, Inkjet gets popped. But it's just a very heavy difference in mechanical skills and a lack of specials from the side of Nightwings.
Yeah, again, that one, I think kind of like I said, if it had a different tone, or it kind of had the same tone as the first match, but just in a Splat Zones form, I guess.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. So it looks like Insync is going to be getting that win there, and will be moving on Nightwings to winning that set, and now they are 5-1 going into week 7. But again, we still have game 3 that we need to play.
Yeah, and these tiebreakers are always important. You know, if Nightwings can get a win here, increase their records at least a little bit more, improve their chances of, in those tiebreaker situations, making it to the top 4 playoff. And this week really does set the tone for what needs to happen next week. You know, if they can make something happen here, they can get a little bit more momentum, maybe make an upset happen next week, and get into that top 4 spot. And if they can do that, that's going to be a fantastic showing from them.
Yeah, and it will be hard too for Nightwings because, again, they will need to win their last set next week. I don't know off the top of my head who they'll be playing, but we did see that the Wiggly Phantoms lose, so they're 3-3. So let's pretend Nightwings plays Wiggly Phantoms. If Nightwings wins that, then they would have the tiebreaker over the Wiggly Phantoms because, you know, if you have the same record, the first tiebreaker is, you know, who won the head-to-head. But, you know, we'll kind of have to see what that schedule is going to look like. But these teams are now getting ready for their last match. Clam, Blitz, Sturgeon, Shipyard. If I had to guess, it's going to be something in between the first two that we saw. Not quite the 1 minute KO, not quite all 5 minutes, but, you know, we should see.
Yeah, I mean, it'll take probably a couple of pushes, maybe 3, for Inksync to knock it out. And if Nightwings can just get one wind-up punch and knock out Inksync, that would be fantastic. And I think that that's kind of the mentality that they need to have. They need to be taking a big swing, taking a big risk here.
Yeah, because, I mean, team wipes on Clam Blitz, it is brutal to come back from sometimes, assuming all these players are in position. But now let's take a look at the different weapons that we see. So we do see the Gluga Decos and the 96 Gal. Looks like Savage is using the 96 Gal, and no Charger on the side of Inksync. We do see a double, we see a Machine and a Slosher. I like it. Very, very aggressive.
Yeah, Jimmy does love to use this X-Splasher when given the chance, and look at how much just damage this composition can put out at a range. It's absolutely oppressive. You know, having someone slosh up at you, having someone, having a sloshing machine have those bullets arcing around you, and, you know, the fizzy's coming out, the Nautilus that can laser you down if you're chipped. It's awful. And here we see the Inksync push starting. Yeah,
Chili had, I believe, 8 clams to work with. Chili's still alive. We'll see if there's another power clam jump. We see a splashdown. Control, get the power clam. It looks like he does. And now 39 remaining for Inksync. A really impressive push. I believe that's going to be it for them. But again, that incredible push by Inksync. Nightwings now trying to push up a little bit, able to take down Guigus. So we see 3v3 as Savage is going to push up with some armor. They're not quite ready to score yet, don't have the power claims yet. Savage was fighting a 2v1, unfortunately goes down to Chili and Guigus, I believe. But now Nightwings sitting with 16, now at 8, and able to get some kills here and there, but not quite the map control just yet.
Not quite, and Splatcat's going to be able to find one, force a baller out of Jimmy. That's actually pretty nice if you're on the side of Nightwings, you know, preventing that X-Splasher from getting away safely in that baller. It seems like Inksync is storing up for another push right now. They've got a lot of clams on the map here that they can work around, and they're already marking out opponents that they can slaughter. But here they come.
Yeah, and Inksync able to push up again. It looks like Trell... did Trell throw that in, then use a splashdown? That all happened so fast. I wasn't able to see.
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, just popped it and instantly popped the splashdown. And now he has 8 clams coming in to try and keep this thing alive. But he is able to use that inkjet. It seems like the basket's getting close for right now. Couldn't quite find a way completely in. And they're going to be losing a little bit of mid control here.
Yeah, and Splatcat kind of at mid now. Again, just not letting Inksync score is pretty much your main priority right now. I mean, obviously you need to score yourself too. But again, they're going to need to get these clams because they really haven't had an opportunity to even get a power clam yet, it seems like.
Oh, yeah. Yep, and that's going to be 3 down, and Guigus going all the way in, trying to find a nice pick, and does. Onto the Gluga Deco there. Savage trying to fight for their life, unable to do so. Jimmy with that X-Splasher at a range is just going to be keeping them back. here comes trouble with the power clam, and I like the mentality that you brought up. You know, playing to win rather or playing to not lose. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, with that score and 3 players going down on Nightwings, it looks like this could be it. Can Guigus and Jimmy get some more clams in? Guigus is going to come up and is able to get the win for InkSync.
That was clinical gameplay from InkSync right there. They utilized those high platforms to rain their Explosher and Slosher bullets down onto the enemy. They did not let that Hydra get set up whatsoever, which is critical, which is key. You know, using that Inkjet, using that armor to just barrel through and just not let them get in comfy positions. And overall, yeah.
Yeah, very impressive by InkSync, really not allowing Nightwings to push any objective at all out of that entire set, which that might be the first that we've ever seen of that. So again, a really dominant performance by InkSync. Again, as they move to 9-1, right, or 9-1, 5-1. We don't have 10 weeks in Friday Night Frenzy. That would be kind of a lot. But again, they're sitting in a very, very good position.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to imagine the brackets now, and probably going to make top 4. I would imagine. You know, if I know InkSync, they're going to be one of the top contenders.
Yeah. You know, I could spoil it for next week, but I do want to say the matchup that we have not seen yet. Are you ready for this? Okay. Is KingMaker versus InkSync.
I knew you were gonna say it too. I knew that was on the table. Oh, that's actually really. I'm excited to see that, because 2 very different playstyles clashing, 2 very aggressive playstyles clashing. That's going to be a lot of fun.
It is. It's gonna. I know they're listening, but that one will probably be a set 4, the very last set of next week. You know, assuming everybody can make that work. But before that, let's take a look at the next matchup that is going to happen. We are going to have KingMaker, who's undefeated, versus Radical Dreamers, still looking for their first win today. And again, KingMaker, the triple brush comp, who has really shown some dominance. You know, they're not completely undefeated. They have lost a few games, but never a set so far. In Radical Dreamers, they've won games, but have unfortunately not quite won a set yet. And I had the pleasure of watching Radical Dreamers scrim the last 2 nights. They did a scrim Wednesday night and Thursday night, and they have improved so much, and I'm really looking forward to see what they can do tonight.
That's great. That's great to hear. You know, especially if you're going in these league formats, from experience playing Ludi, if you're going like 0-3, and you know it's midway through the season, you're slogging it out, you know, you're scheduling a scrim every week, you're kind of just like hitting a wall. But it's good to see that they're not only consistently scrimming, but that they're able to play a lot consistently, and you know, boosting their mental fortitude is really important. And I really love to see that out of a younger team, a team that's might be down on their luck, but is still doing everything they can to improve their gameplay. That is commendable.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of one of the takeaways for Friday Night Frenzy, and you know what I really like to kind of preach to, it's like, yeah, you will be playing teams that, you know, likely have more experience than you, are, you know, more competitive than you too, but this gives you so much opportunity to kind of practice and play and kind of even step out of your comfort zone. I mean, just look at these maps and mode combos. They haven't been quite the most traditional competitive maps and modes, so it really gets you a chance to kind of experience everything that this game has to offer, and in a tight environment where, again, everybody has been playing everybody so far.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. You know, it's in this very controlled environment, you know, where people are pretty much hand selected to play. People are, you know, interacting with each other consistently in the streams, making friends, becoming scrim partners, and that's really what you like to see. I always tell people that to experience a league format, experience Ludi once, because it is the definitive way to play Splatoon in the team environment, in a league format where you're consistently playing, you're consistently trying to at least one-up the teams in your group, you know?
Oh, absolutely. And these teams are ready to go, so let's bring you the first match of KingMaker versus the Radical Dreamers.
Woo! Triple brush. I've never truly analyzed one of the KingMaker's games, and I'm excited to do this right now.
I had the honor of facing them at Riptide, and I'll tell you, it's a little brutal, but as we see, yes, the classic triple brush combo with Captain Bob playing on the Kenza Jr., and we see double Dynamo. Look at that.
Oh, you know what? I've seen it all. I've officially seen it all from this game, and I thought that I had. After 4 years of playing, I thought I had seen it all. Now I have.
Now you have, and again, a lot of backline if you're Radical Dreamers. You have one NZAP who's going to really have to have a lot of paint power. And it looks like KingMaker's going to be picking up the Rainmaker first, as they are applying some pressure. Echo's going to be using the Ink Armor and able to push up. Can Echo get a nice snipe on the Rainmaker? They can! 3 players are down now on KingMaker. 1v1 right now, actually.
Wow, it looked like KingMaker actually really had like an easy path to take. I don't know what happened where they ended up fumbling it, and now Hammer's going to be sharking in her spots, trying to find a quick pick here, but it looked like they had everything ready for that push, and just a very clean snipe on that Dynamo. You love to see that.
You do. 2 players are down now on the Radical Dreamers, and it looks like the Booyah Bomb's going to help a little bit, as it looks like Echo was alone, but it looks like KingMaker is able to push the Rainmaker, working with the bubbles. Paolo's going to just be running up the slick, staying alive, but they are now seen getting all the way to 12.
Wow, that's a strong push. And I really love the use of bubbles there. You know, it's essentially applying a shield and having it like spaced out at different points along that walk of shame with the Rainmaker. That was really nice play. And Maddie! Oh, Maddie with a very solid flank. That's what's really, really tough about these brush compositions, is they're going to be coming from everywhere. You have to play front to back.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a wipe.
And that was a wipe too. Unfortunately, KingMaker wasn't really in a position where they could kind of pick up the Rainmaker quickly and capitalize on it, but now they are, as the Radical Dreamers are kind of standing by their base, just kind of waiting a little bit, but 2 players are down, and honestly, out of that, if you get wiped, I'd count that as a win for the Radical Dreamers.
That definitely would be. Oh, but it seems like their base is just being overrun by these brushes.
It absolutely is. And these trades are only going to benefit KingMaker too. You know, if you have the lead, trading is okay. That just means you're one step closer to winning when the time runs out.
Exactly. You know, if you can trade everything down, you eliminate the firepower of the enemy team. And they're going to be throwing their bodies away. Essentially, you know, trying to make sure that they can't be distanced out here. They can't have these ranged attacks. They can't have these special pushes that are going to shove them out of where they need to be. They're going to be up in their face, and they're doing it perfectly.
Yeah, and I mean, to Radical Dreamers' credit, they're avoiding like the KO right now, which, you know, if you're facing KingMaker, I'd kind of count that as a win on its own too. You know, they only got to 99, but again, they're staying right with the KingMaker team, just kind of controlling mid, taking it back and forth. But again, if you're KingMaker, this is really all you need to do to win. Just, oh, and it looks like Doctor's going to go down, but they take down Maddie first. Hammer is going to be sneaking up, painting the side. It looks like Hammer might be sharking a little bit, waiting for somebody to drop, but Hammer's going to be using that Inkjet. Is able to get 1. Can they get 2? Ooh, but it goes down to the Dynamo, and maybe this Dynamo is kind of a strat to, you know, kind of counter Hammer's Inkjet, as Bob is now going to get pinned, going down again close to the slit, close to the podium with just over a minute remaining.
That's a good point, actually. You know, and that's what I was thinking. You know, if they can play their cards correctly, they can really like put out a ton of paint and keep the brushes at bay. You know, if they can't get killed before they land one of those final flicks. But it seems like they've got the ideas. It seems like the execution just isn't quite there yet.
Yeah, not quite there yet. We do have a minute left, and, you know, Radical Dreamers, they're having trouble kind of getting to this Rainmaker, and Paolo with a nice splat. Gotta love the splat bomb kills. Ooh, and the beacons, too, giving Maddie a place to land. And again, KingMaker just has to control mid, and they should be good. But of course, Hammer's going to be sneaking up. But Lady Rat going to get a nice pick. But Lady Rat is now alone and going to have to wait for their team. Can Lady Rat get that kill? Unfortunately, not quite. Just about 20 seconds remaining. Able to stay alive from that splat bomb. Lady Rat probably going to be using a Booyah bomb here, and we need to see Radical Dreamers pick up this Rainmaker.
We need to see them pick it up. If they can even pop the Rainmaker shield, they don't there's not a lot of firepower enough to pop that Rainmaker shield, especially if KingMaker does the exact thing and keep it inflated. They're gonna try and make a little bit of a push here. They get you down. Oh, time.
Yep, KingMaker is going to win that first match, and again, I mean, Radical Dreamers, they avoided the knockout. You know, you gotta be happy about that. But again, it's hard. You know, it's hard to play against a team like KingMaker who has just really proven their dominance all over the place.
I mean, Hammer has done a lot in terms of, you know, pushing the brand and, you know, finding coaching sessions with Kyo. I remember hearing about them doing one of those and you know, Kyo being receptive and helping them train and work with this very unique composition, and it's come out in their gameplay. They've learned to work around exactly what they need to. And Hammer herself is a extremely talented player, definitely above the level of a lot of players that I'm seeing in quote unquote the mid-level, if we're going to call it that. And she's doing her own thing. She's a strong player in her own right, and I'm nothing but praise for KingMaker for what they do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again, Radical Dreamers, they did a good job because they were able to contend kind of at mid. Again, you avoided the KO, and you did push the Rainmaker a little bit kind of towards the beginning, but again, when you just have so much pressure that's being applied there, it's really hard to kind of counter it. So, but these teams are ready for game 2. Splat zones on Snapper Canal, and let's see how they do.
Seemed like Radical Dreamers even read it up pretty quickly. Didn't seem like they wanted to change much in their composition, and that's actually going to work pretty well for them on this map and mode particularly. And I actually do like this adjustment from the vanilla Splattershot Pro on the side of Radical Dreamers to call out when flanks are happening with the point sensors.
Absolutely, especially with Hammer's Ninja Squid and any other Ninja Squid that these teammates, you know, the KingMaker teammates may have. I think that's the perfect counter. Now, again, you just have to have really good aim, but it looks like, yeah, and... Oh, is that going to be a wipe? Let's see if Maddie's going to get that kill. Yes, Maddie is going to get the kill. That is a team wipe. The Octobrush Nouveau, that is actually one of my favorite weapons I've been playing with recently, so I'm interested to see how Maddie plays it. But Paolo's going to get right up in there. Unfortunately, going to go down. Doctor's going to be pushing up just a little bit. Oh, Doctor almost goes down to the Autobomb, but they're going to need to be able to cap this zone. Throwing some rain. The rain is going to help too, as Radical Dreamers able to push up a little more, but now going to go down. KingMaker still has a zone and able to push up again.
It's so tough to push up with a composition like that where it's very slow. You know, you've got the Hydra, the double Dynamo, and even though it would do well if they had the paint to work around with, you know, Dynamos can paint, but they also need paint to work around with, you know, to be there initially. And because, like, they're trying to do both of these things and, you know, working a little bit sporadically on the map, KingMaker is just going to be running around them in circles. But Radical Dreamers able to hang on for a little while there.
Yeah, they were able to hang on a little bit, and I guess it's something about the first map and mode, but we really haven't seen any knockouts so far, have we? But with Splat zones, we've kind of seen it all over the place. KingMaker getting that win, going to be moving on to 6-0. Again, we still have game 3 to play. We have Clam Blitz on Sturgeon Shipyard, and it looks like KingMaker may be swapping out Bob for JoJo. They typically kind of rotate some of their players in between these sets, so we will see how Radical Dreamers responds. And you know, Clam Blitz, it's a very team oriented mode, which, yes, you know, can make it hard if you're facing a team like KingMaker, but it's Clam Blitz, anything's possible.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Anything is possible in Clam Blitz. You know, like, comebacks happen, but also, like, strong pushes can happen. It's funny because in Rainmaker, like, the way that you push changes depending on how the match has been going, but that doesn't happen in Clam Blitz. Like, the basket stays the same spot every time, you know? And because of that, you're going to be trying this, you know, to get that one strategy working. And because of that, a comeback can happen, a really strong push can happen at any point. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. And yeah, let's see if we see any weapon changes. And it looks like, again, we do see the stray away from the Vanilla Pro, as I think Doctor is, now going to the end zap. I can't think of the name. The Sheldon picks. We see a lovely this way greeting for Radical Dreamer, so thank you very much. And now since JoJo entered, we do see a Neo Splash, but it already goes down. So right now, Radical Dreamers, you have a player advantage. Let's see if they can get some claims and kind of push up. Echo with the Booyah Bomb, with Ink Armor. As they're able to get a little bit of mid, and they both have quite a bit of claims right now.
I actually really like that trade, taking down Hammer and taking out one of the main threats on the enemy team. But this baller is going to be coming in, even with the Booyah Bomb trying to stop everything. It seems like they aren't able to shred this baller. Paolo does pop, and they do the right thing, waiting for the baller to pop and waiting for them to drop the clam. Maddie, though, is able to follow up with a very nice clam, able to find two here. Oh, maybe three, and that's going to be them making a really strong push here.
Yeah, Lady Rat's going to be now respawning, but again, KingMaker were able to really get some claims in there right before the basket closed. Paolo's going to be up top scoring. We're going to see Maddie coming in from the right side too with 9 claims, but is going to go down. Ooh, that was really close, as it looks like Paolo and Hammer going to be applying more pressure, and this basket is still open. Hammer's going to be going up to maybe Shark, going to try and get Echo there. Echo goes down, sneaking up to Lady Rat. Lady Rat and Gloctopus go down. This basket is still open, and KingMaker is continuing to throw claims in. We could see one push KO.
Yeah, I'm expecting it here. They already have Maddie going back, taking the final approach.
Maddie's
probably going to get it in.
Oh,
doesn't get all four.
Maddie gets it in. Was alone, but able to get the KO for KingMaker.
Yeah, usually if it comes down to like a 12 point to win, you can usually, if you're good enough enough with your movement, you can kind of wiggle your way through and get in 4 clams before people realize what's going on. And that's just the way of Clam Blitz. And Maddie has that knowledge, does it perfectly, avoids the splats, and it finishes up for KingMaker.
Yeah, absolutely. A really nice set. And again, if you're Radical Dreamers there, like, you're playing the best team in Friday Night Frenzy right now. And like, thinking back to game 1, you were able to kind of contend that entire time, and avoiding the KO again is really key. But you know, with maps and modes like Splat Zones on Snapper and Claim Blitz on Sturgeon, just kind of a little hard to kind of come back from.
Exactly. You know, they're maps that are very easy to get locked out of, and that's something that I've mentioned a little bit. But it's something that's just super apparent, especially when you have teams that are super aggressive and have the quick kill times of the brushes that can just shark wherever they need to. And if you're not 100% clean on your movement, 100% clean on your aim, they're going to take you out before you get the chance. And
yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think one of the worst failings too is when your basket's open and there's nothing you can really do, because of course when your own basket is open, it feels like an eternity for how long that timer goes, especially if people are throwing in claims right before the timer ends to just kind of extend it a little bit, and you're like, please basket close, please give us a chance. And it's so hard.
Yeah, and especially like you're trying to make something happen, like you're a little bit scatterbrained, you're not really thinking like, oh, I need to be painted for my special, I need to get this thing closed. And that scramble kind of happens, and that's something that teams need to overcome. But I'm impressed that Radical Dreamers were able to keep fighting for as long as they did.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and we'll see what they do in week 7 next week. If they can get their win for the season, it'll be really exciting to see. But coming up next, we have SPF 7 versus Flounder Frights. Again, both of these teams under 500 right now, but Flounder Frights may be in contention of reaching the playoffs, especially if they want to. They'll likely be fighting Wiggly Phantoms for that position if they do end up winning. So this should be a really good set. And SPF 7 stands for Spawn Point Friends. So I believe last night we did see a scrim between SPF 7 and Radical Dreamers, and I know Juicy, Rose, and Sleeves played. I don't remember who the last person who was on their team playing, so we will likely see them tonight. And Flounder Frights, they're 2-3, but man, I feel like a lot of their matches so far have been very, very close, and I think this will be a competitive set.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
We saved the best for last, right?
Yes, absolutely. And again, taking a look at the roster here, both teams have a pretty loaded roster, so I'm not quite sure which combination of players we will be seeing, but okay. I can guarantee it's going to be a good matchup. But while we have a little bit of time, I want to go back, Magic, to talking about Halloween candy, because I'm still not over how you mentioned you are a candy corn fan. I mean, again, I like it. I like candy corn. And it's like I'll get a handful of candy corn and be fine with it for my Halloween. Like, okay, that's all I need to be happy. Okay, there I go. So what about chocolate candies? What's your favorite?
I'm partial to Three Musketeers.
Really?
Yeah, but my favorite is probably Twix.
Okay.
In terms of like good chocolate candies.
Yeah.
I'm really not too picky, especially about chocolate.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's fair. Yeah, I mentioned I'm a 100 gram person, and if you've ever had Take 5, that is probably the best.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably some of my favorite. But again, like, I got the 3 giant bags from Costco, and again, my wife is like, you can't tell me when you buy it and you have to hide it in the house. Just like let me know when we have it, so that way I won't be like asking you over and over again, you know, do you have the Halloween candy? Because again, it's hidden, just don't tell her.
Okay. No, I get that. I've been like completely removing all sweets from my apartment.
Well, that's probably good.
I've been trying my best, and like I bought some like special K bars the other night, and I've already gone through like all of them.
Special K bars, like the cereal bars, or what?
Yeah, like they're like cereal bars.
Oh, okay.
And even those like just have like just enough sugar to like satiate me.
Okay.
So like if Halloween candy comes like anywhere near me, like I'm gonna be like munching on it while I'm watching a YouTube video or something. So I definitely understand, like, keep it hidden.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I'm a grazer when it comes to candy too, but luckily I feel like I have some self-control. Maybe not the best, but, you know, some more than others. We'll see.
Right.
Yeah, but our teams for this final set are now getting into the lobby. We're a little ahead of schedule right now, so we'll give them all the time that they need. But again, Flounder Frights, if they win, they move on to 3-3, going to be right there with the Wiggly Phantoms. That will be crucial for kind of going into week 7, where again we can kind of give everybody a more clear picture, and we will be posting that on Twitter, we'll be posting that on Discord, so you guys definitely stay in the loop. Follow Friday Night Frenzy on Twitter, FNF_SPL, to get all the latest information, and you guys can also join the Discord there. The link is in chat, so if you haven't, definitely join the Discord to stay in the loop for these amazing teams.
And I really do love what you've done with the format. You know, something that I've talked with K-Bot has been, you know, like how do we keep people, you know, invested in like a tournament scene? You know, because that's some of the, and this is a bit more like nuanced discussion, but I enjoy talking about things like this because it's fascinating to think about. You know, like how do you run a good tournament? How do you make a good viewer experience? Right. And I think a league format is really one of like the key ways to do that and to keep people invested.
Yeah, and that was kind of one of my goals the whole time, but it's hard because it's hard to commit. If you're a team, if you're a player, and I've had this so many times where I ask teams, I'm like, hey, I'd love for you to play, and they say like, we'd love to also, but we can't commit to all 7 weeks right now, and that's totally understandable because you never know what's going to happen, 7 Fridays from now. It's like, it's fun in theory, and that's kind of why I'm like, get all the subs that you need to have, because at the end of the day, I would love to have matches going on. That's why some of these rules about subs and rosters are a little more lax than most competitive tournaments here and there, but it is a unique tournament. But I am happy to kind of kind of showcase this. And again, it's our second season, and it's been such a blast, and all 8 of these teams have been so amazing to work with and have been really responsive too, which is all I like. Teammates, or all the teams, thank you so much for all that you guys have done to make Friday Night Frenzy so successful. I feel like I'm plugging the very end of the season, but like, you know, we still have a whole week to go. So but yeah, it's been so great so far.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that a lot of the competitive players call Ludi a team killer, and that is because it is. Because a lot of teams, like, you know, they'll sign up for it and they say, you know, like, oh, let's try it out, but they can't go the distance, things come up, you know, they have to find a bunch of subs, or like they get frustrated midway through and like break down and disband before the season's over. And so it's so give and take, but especially if teams know that they can commit to it, and, you know, like in a much more closed environment like this, it's much more fun.
Absolutely. So Magic, I think you did some commentary for Super Jump, is that correct?
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little more about how Super Jump went?
Super Jump was fantastic. There was a ton of matches. I also actually ended up playing in Super Jump, and so that was a hectic weekend for me. But a lot of there were so many interesting storylines, especially during those top brackets. You know, some of my favorite teams, Azure, did pretty well. They didn't end up getting 9th, which is, you know, one of their curses. And following that storyline has always been fun. Terra, who is a UK player who oftentimes picks up with a bunch of Japanese players and brings them over to tournaments, and, you know, brings a really high level of competition to these events. That was one of the storylines going in. You know, there was a storyline of FT1 versus Starburst, and watching that all play out was awesome in so many ways. And even a lot of players ended up coming back for Super Jump. You know, some of the competitive players that have kind of come and gone over the years, and just seeing it all of those different things feed into one bracket, like, that is so cool to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And how many teams participated? Weren't there
was it? It was
like over 80, right? Like 80, 100 -ish.
Oh, 100. Oh, it was more than that.
Okay.
I think because they had to do 18 groups of 10. Yeah, I think it was around 180 teams, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
It was around 180 teams.
And man, organizing that too. Oh my goodness. That's got to be something. That's crazy. But I'm glad it was a blast, and I had so much fun watching it too. You know, I haven't played competitive, and other than Riptide, I haven't played competitive in maybe about 2.5 years or so it's been quite some time. But yeah. I know from a participant's perspective, it's always so much fun too, and we appreciate, you know, all that you do and IPL does too to kind of put on those tournaments.
I do not do that much. People like Raze, people like JPG, people like Hoeen and Kraken and Popgun, they do so much of the heavy lifting to make these events happen, and just a bunch of stuff behind the scenes that we don't even get to see, really. Yeah. And I just remember to thank your TOs, people. Remember to thank your TOs. I will preach that to the day I die.
Yes, absolutely. More of our teams are now getting ready into our lobby, and we'll get started pretty soon here. But so Magic, is there anything on this first map and mode, Rainmaker New Albacore, that you haven't quite seen yet that you're really looking to see?
One thing that we have actually seen quite a bit that I've been really happy to see, and that's been, you know, bubble pushes, you know, creating shields to, especially during those walkways where you need to walk. And that's been very nice. Seeing lockouts happen, that's something that I've been expecting. And I actually saw people taking like a far left upper route. I think that was Wiggly Phantoms, who ended up going all the way up there and trying to dunk the Rainmaker from there through a painted path, even though it's a bit more exposed. That's been good to see, you know, that these teams are having the knowledge of all these different routes and stuff. But one thing that I really haven't seen like a ton of is teams really abusing the terrace. That's like a call out position, but essentially, like over the long bridge, getting into the enemy side of the base and just using that as a point to completely pivot the map. That's something that's really important, and I haven't been seeing a ton of it happen during the sets so far, but I think if that does happen where like a backline can get set up there, it swings the map really, really quickly.
Yeah, I could see that happening too. But again, you're like you said, we have seen kind of a lot going on so far in this Rainmaker. Mm-hmm. We just haven't seen any knockout, you know?
Yeah.
No knockout quite yet. And will we see it here? I really don't know, but again, I think these two teams will be kind of neck and neck the whole time. And again, I would not complain, obviously, if we saw the whole 5 minutes of all 3 matches, you know? We want it to be as competitive as possible, so we'll see.
Right. I think that KO here is going to be a huge defining factor. KO's E-leader is pretty well known and scary to many, and if he's on hitting his shots, it's going to be lights out.
Absolutely. Our team's are ready now, so let's bring you the last set of today. SPF 7 versus Flounder Frights. Here we go with game 1.
Woo! Let's see what happens here, and that's a C-Jet. Woo, baby!
We see your C-Jet. We see double NZAP, double K-Shot too. Overall, very, very similar comps. The only big difference, I'd say, is the Knot versus the Octo Shot. But again, I think this will be a pretty even matchup.
They're actually kind of filling similar roles. You know, they both have the Inkjet, they both have Lethal Bomb, they put on a lot of pressure, they're trying to be offensive. What's going to be really interesting is no Ray from the side of, that's Flounder Frights?
Yes, and that is correct.
And so because of that, it's going to be a bit more of a slow playstyle. You know, they need to be really, really keen on their defenses to make sure that nobody gets through. You know, they're not going to have that safety Ray. And KO going down is going to be huge.
Yeah, KO going down, able to get rid of the anchor just a little bit, but right now Flounder Frights not able to pick up the Rainmaker quite yet, and we're a full minute in where nobody's grabbed it. Hosoke is going to get a nice assist there. Looks like Kidena is now going to pick up the Rainmaker. Matt is going to be using some Tenta missiles as they will all be pushing up their left side.
And this is what I want to see, and using a Ray here in combination with the Inkjet, and the Inkjet coming out from the other side, this is exactly what I love to see. Using specials to try and barrel your way through a choke point. That's very smart coordination from the side of
Flounder Frights.
Flounder Frights.
It's a tongue twister.
Right.
Every commentator I've had has struggled with the name too. But yeah, they got to 57 and now able to kind of get some more picks here and there. Chase is going to try and push up, almost getting that Splat Bomb kill on Roar. And now Roar is going to be pushing up using that Inkjet. 2 players are down on the side of Flounder Frights. Will somebody from SPF 7 pick up that Rainmaker? Almost not quite, because Flounder Frights still has a lot of map control by the Rainmaker.
Yeah, they do, and they have the specials to keep it up. They do make a trade here on that Octoshot, and they're throwing bombs, they're trying to encroach, and it seems like they've got a breakthrough happening. This Jet Squadron is going to be able to use that Ray once again, and it seems like they just can't quite break through this wall that Flounder Frights have put up.
Yeah, and again, just halfway through the match, we've only seen the Rainmaker picked up twice. Again, quite a stalemate, but if you are Flounder Frights, consider that to your advantage. You know, again, if you can kind of get that stalemate. But as I say that, SPF 7 is now going to pick up the Rainmaker, and it looks like Juicy has it, is going to try and push left. 3-on-3. Oh, is it KO who has it? KO has it, and able to get to 60, almost able to get the lead.
Almost, and they ended up taking down Hosoke right before that push happened, and it looked like it was going to be exactly what SPF 7 needed, but they just barely got taken down by the Inkjet during that Rainmaker run. Were unable to take the lead there, and that's kind of what they needed in that situation, as Chase is able to chase down KO here, and the armor to keep him going.
Triple. Let's see Chase so close. Chase gets the triple assist. Can they get the quad? Oh, and goes down to a trade. That is huge for Flounder Frights to kind of get the Rainmaker out of that area where SPF7 put it, getting Flounder Frights all the way to 54, 3v3 with just over a minute remaining. Matt going to be pushing up.
Matt. Oh, that's very interesting. You know, the fact that they were able to stay alive while taking that far right route. That's something that really we don't see too often. I think we saw it once earlier in one of the sets. Oh, goodbye. That's really funny. Someone died in the water. But it's so hard. You know, when the Rainmaker first went down, they had only increased their lead by 3 points. The fact that they were able to stay alive and to keep that push going is honestly should not have happened. But the fact that it did just speaks to the presence of these players.
Yeah, absolutely. About 40 seconds left now. We need SPF7 to kind of get control of mid, and we'll see if they're able to push it up a little bit. As we see another aggressive Inkjet move by Roar, able to kind of paint up a little bit. KO's going to grab the Rainmaker, was starting to go left, but saw two players there. KO might be in trouble and is now going to go down. Two players are down on SPF7. Matt gets a nice suction bomb kill by hitting the barrier. Those always, you know, kind of or catch you off guard if you're by the barrier and you just die somehow from that suction bomb. But ooh, Roar's gonna pick it up, but that unfortunately might be the game, and that is a wipe, giving Flounder Frights the first win.
Ooh, that was tough. You know, it seemed like SPF7 could never really get anything going too well, and when they did, and when they finally found that opening on taking down, it was okay. Chase. Couldn't quite capitalize on it. Chase was a monster on that Tech, and anyone who says that Tech is not strong in this meta clearly has not tried it.
Yeah, Chase with 21 there. KO had a really nice Rainmaker push, and we saw that, I believe it was against KingMaker 3 weeks ago, where KO was just able to just kind of sneak it up and really do a good job. But Flounder Frights with a pretty dominant win there, and game 2 could be something different. Again, like Rainmaker, I feel like has just been its own unique, or I should say game 1 has been its own unique situation, whereas you know, games 2 and 3 really have been more commanding towards the team that wins the set. So this will be a good one too.
And you know, I know we talked a little bit about, you know, it's not the most competitively viable map, etc., and that's kind of the reasoning behind it. Is it's a very different experience and not completely representative most of the time, but it's still an interesting showcase of what these teams can do. And it's not like the first game has been, you know, completely defining the set in terms of like changing the trajectories. You know, it's the most consistently that, you know, the best team has won on this map too. But it is just an interesting discussion. But Splat Zones on Snapper Canal is where we're going to see the usual quick pace play that we used to.
Absolutely. And if Flounder Frights wins this, they will be moving on to 3-3. SPF7 needs the win to keep the set alive. And let's see any other new weapons. And we do see quite a bit of changes. We do now see a heavy remix on the side of Flounder Frights.
Yeah.
And double Neo Splash or Neo Splash on both teams.
Yeah, which is, I mean, it's a pretty classic adjustment, I would call it. You know, Neo Splash is just so much of a better painter than a Tech or a Nautilus, and because of that, it's going to be much more useful, especially with those bomb rushes. But
yeah, absolutely. Right now, SPF7 able to take the lead, but two specials already on the side of Flounder Frights, as they're going to be kind of pushing in the mid. Juicy going to be painting all along the left side there. Again, ooh, and a nice quad missile spot, or missile targeted. I don't know what you call that exactly. Whatever, you know what I meant. Targeted them all, and now SPF7 again just doing a really good job getting Kidena down. Hosake up alone on the plateau up there. We'll have the Booyah Bomb ready. Let's see when they decide to use it. But again, SPF 7 with a very dominant lead right now. Nobody's able to push in quite yet on the side of Flounder Frights, but 2 players are down on SPF 7. Will this give the cap to Flounder Frights? And it looks like it does.
And Hosoke really just a lot of patience. They were able to utilize only one special, really, you know, utilizing those missiles and pushing together, and now they're going to be able to keep the push going and force SPF 7 all the way back into their base because they have these specials at the ready, and I'm very impressed at the discipline from this team.
Yeah, absolutely. And now Flounder Frights able to kind of come back and get some of these picks here, moving down their points. Juicy going to back up, maybe use some missiles pretty soon. And again, SPF 7, they had this zone for quite some time. They're really going to need to cap now since Flounder Frights seems to be on a roll. You'd hate to give up this lead, especially since you have 68 penalty points you need to get rid of if you want to try and take back the lead. But right now, Flounder Frights gets that soft wipe. They're able to get the zone again. They may take the lead after this.
That's so tough, getting wiped right there. It's so hard to come back from that. They're able to find one. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to get to the zone in time. No. Oh, that was such clean gameplay from Flounder Frights to push back in and then keep the push going. Wow, they waited for their team and they collapsed when they needed to. That was fantastic gameplay.
Absolutely, and SPF 7 did such a good job at the beginning there, just, you know, really locking out members of Flounder Frights. But when Flounder Frights kind of got their groove, that's when things kind of changed a little bit. So with that, Flounder Frights is going to move up to 3-3. SPF 7 will get a loss here, but we still have one more match to go. We have Clam Blitz on Sturgeon Shipyard. Again, here's the thing, if you have the lead like SPF 7 had in that match, that could be a game-winning lead. Yeah, especially it's so tough because then you need to be back in neutral a bunch and you know, you need to be constantly contesting the zone, and they just had 2 4-down situations, and you know, the first time it happens, like, sure, okay, you know, we had a strong lead, we can come back from this, and then to see it happen again, just, it breaks you mentally, you know, and I'm hoping that we're gonna see them come back strong in this 3rd game, try and play for a win, but it's so tough. Oh, absolutely. But I mean, they had a better performance too in that second game than the first game, and going on to game 3, you have that momentum built up a little bit that, you know, hopefully can kind of carry over to Clam Blitz. But again, Clam Blitz kind of its own unique thing, so we'll see what happens.
We will see what happens, and like you said, that push that SPF 7 had, that could be a lead and a game-winning push on something like Clam Blitz if they're able to manage the defenses correctly, and because of that, I'm excited to see if they can take this game 3.
Yes, absolutely. SPF 7 needing this win to kind of just avoid the sweep too.
Yeah.
You know, it would be the second set that we have that wouldn't be a sweep, so we'll see if it happens here, and these teams are ready.
These teams are ready. Final match of the day. Everybody excited?
Heck yeah, let's go. SPF 7 versus Flounder Frights. Flounder Frights wins, they win the set with a sweep. SPF 7 can spoil it for them. Let's see what happens. And look at that junior comp! Look at that junior comp from Flounder Frights. Quad junior, double armor, 1 bubble, 1 rain. No backline.
No backline.
But you know, I don't even know what to predict, other than a lot of paint. So here's what I'm thinking though. These vanilla juniors are really gonna have to utilize the splat bombs to be anchors.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and the custom junior can actually pump out, I believe there is a triple bomb build. I could be wrong though. I might be wrong on that, but essentially, they can spam bombs just as much and be just as much of a nuisance. And because of that, they're going to be using these bombs to space people out, and they're going to be able to use this paint to keep pumping out specials, especially these ink armors that can keep them protected, especially in these close range fights where they need to get, and they can just force their way in. And it's actually kind of scary to face 4 juniors, and people don't realize it when they see it. They're thinking, oh, this is a meme, but it's actually pretty scary.
I know, it's one of those things with a weapon that's like in the meta and viable. It's I think like Quad Junior is more powerful than Quad 52 Gal, just because
right.
of the dynamics of a junior, especially when you have all different types of juniors playing. But we all know, Vanilla's, more common and competitive too. But right now they. It looks like SPF 7 was going to be pushing up a little bit. Flounder Frights now just trying to grab some clams. Both teams in the double digits with their clams, and it looks like we do see an Ink Armor and an Ink Storm being used by SPF 7. 2 players are down now, or by Flounder Frights, 2 players down on SPF 7, as we see members of Flounder Frights try and push forward, maybe potentially get a power clam and score.
And I think that they have all of the tools that they need to, it's almost hard to stop all of the rats. You know what I mean? Like, you need to stomp them out. You need to make sure that they're done at the source. You need to set the poison traps. And I don't think that SPF 7 is quite able to was quite ready to handle that.
Yeah, not quite. So what I've noticed too is Flounder Frights, they're able to get the score, but really not much of the follow-up, because what you have to do with Junior is just kind of like inch your way in, and then you're kind of very, very vulnerable, because again, you have no range and you don't quite have the paint to kind of throw bombs right after you score, potentially. Ooh, and Juicy with a nice double there, as Juicy's going to be pushing up with the rain. The basket is closed, and it's been closed for a while, I should say. Juicy working with their team members now, maybe potentially passing some clams, as it looks like they are. Juicy now going to have a power clam and has control of mid, but going to have to avoid all these bombs and this rain. Juicy now going to go on the right side, and is going to go down to a splat bomb at mid.
If you throw enough bombs, someone's gonna go down, and that is the philosophy of Quad Junior to a T. And especially when they're able to move so well, it's so hard to nail them down. But Raw are doing a fantastic job trying to find one, finds 2, and is able to make at least a little bit of an opening. Unfortunately, all of those clams that they had are going to be a little bit unable to be found. Okay, what a great snipe though!
Yeah, what a really good snipe. Rose now has a power claim, and it looks like map controls in the side of SPF 7. Will they be able to score with just about a minute left? Rose has some armor ready. Will she use it? Gonna have to avoid all these torpedoes, just all these bombs coming from the side of Flounder Frights too. Rose now gonna use it with the blue bomb. Rose is gonna go up. Can Rose score? Can SPF 7 get some more claims in? Let's see. A ton of claims by Roar. Has a power claim. Can they get it in? It looks like they do, giving SPF 7 the lead. And that's a wipe.
That's a fantastic lead, but you hate to see the wipe right afterwards. I couldn't see exactly what happened, but it looked like they just got swarmed as they were kind of bottlenecking in that choke point. And here comes the bubble trick from Chase, and here comes the push. That's gonna be not quite the lead, and
there
now
we
it
go.
is.
That is now the lead for Flounder Frights, pretty commandingly too, getting all the way to 24. 2v2 with these team, with about 20 seconds remaining. That might be the end of the basket now, so we'll see what SPF 7 can do with these last 15 seconds.
They're going to have to put together a humongous push, and they're going to have to rush down these juniors before they can get picked off by all these bombs. They need to make something happen very, very quickly. You see that they have the 2 specials ready, so they might be able to do it, and with 2 down, it looks like they have what they need, Falco.
Almost, it's so close. Rose using armor, has the power claim once again. They're going to need to score pretty soon. Rose is going to be pushing in on the left side, is going to get a kill. Can Rose score in time? The timer might run out soon. Rose is in, and the basket is open. Can SPF 7 get the lead? That's a wipe! It looks like they're gonna do it!
I can't believe they were able to find the wipe. They've got the clams. That's gonna be it. And right when they needed to, exactly when they needed to, they were able to utilize the specials and avoid all of the traps that were laid with the bombs, and climb up the wall, send that sucker in. That was fantastic.
Absolutely. SPF 7 able to get the win in the very last game. You know, even though it wasn't in what we call an authentic game 3, that was such a good performance there by SPF 7, able to avoid the sweep. They still end 1-5 for this week. Flounder Frights ending 3-3, but overall, a very, very good set between these two teams.
And that's what you love to see. You love to see competitive sets, you know, and enjoying the thrill of winning. And that was definitely the energy that we got from that. As you saw the final push, you know, they didn't give up even in overtime.
Absolutely. And with that ends this week of Friday Night Frenzy. So let's recap what happened tonight. First, we saw the amazing set between the Wiggly Phantoms versus Intimidation Factor. Intimidation Factor able to get the reverse sweep, moving up to 4-2. Wiggly Phantoms are still alive in the playoff hunt at 3-3. And then our second set, Ink Sync defeats Nightwings. Ink Sync moving up to 5-1. They are currently in the second position right now. Although Nightwings, I don't think they're technically out of the playoff hunt yet, because next week they still have the Wiggly Phantoms to face. So
okay.
If they win that match, if they win there, then I believe they would get the spot because they would have the tiebreaker over the Wiggly Phantoms. So we'll see. We'll get all these official playoff scenarios to you guys later, probably later tonight. I picture Blue and I will stay up and jot everything down, but before we do that, let's recap some more matches again. KingMaker winning against Radical Dreamers. KingMaker moving on to 6-0. Again, they have a very scary InkSync team to face. InkSync has a very scary KingMaker team to face next week. That is going to be the marquee matchup. As Blue mentioned, may or may not have already put most of it together. That's true. We did. Blue's jamming me right now. And then set 4, Flounder Frights with the set win, but SPF 7 with that win at the very end there. And again, let's take a look at the current standings. KingMaker undefeated at 6-0, InkSync at 5-1 right now, Intimidation Factor at 4-2. They are now guaranteed a spot in the playoffs, I think. Again, math. We'll have to do math. And then Wiggly Phantoms, Flounder Frights are now 3-3. Nightwings are 2-4. SPF 7 1-5. Radical Dreamers 0-6. So again, a really, really fun week. And Magic, what are your thoughts of Week 6 of Friday Night Frenzy?
Hectic, and that's exactly what I wanted to see. I wanted to see a lot of fun and competitive matches, and I'm glad that I was able to explain as much as I could about them in the short time that we had. You know, I could go on for hours about one match at a time, but it's always interesting to see all of these different kinds of compositions battling it out against each other. I really do love to see like the variety that this game can offer.
Yeah, absolutely. And Magic, thank you again for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. It was so much fun being here.
Yeah, and you guys can find Magic on Twitch at magic8_octo or on Twitter magic_octo. And definitely check him out. Make sure you guys follow Friday Night Frenzy 2 on Twitter, FNF_SPL. Follow us on Twitch too, twitch.tv/FalcoFlyer. Again, all these VODs go up on YouTube as well. So my name's FalcoFlyer11 on YouTube. Definitely check that out, subscribe, all the good stuff. But that is going to be it for tonight. So thank you guys again. Magic, thank you. We still have one more week coming up of the regular season. It's going to be so exciting. But yes, that's going to be it again. So thank you guys, and you have a wonderful night. Bye.